Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to EFL Championship Predictions. We are back after the final international break of the season and we've got Good Friday games to get into, and guys, we've got games on Easter Monday as well, so keep up to date with the channel. There's lots of predictions to come and I'm joined by Sophie. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been very well, thank you. Don't like the international break, but we're on the home straight now.
Yeah, and the last time we saw you on the channel was when Coventry City beat Wolves. Have you calmed down yet?
Only just.
Yeah.
Only just today.
Yeah, honestly, it's been unbelievable.
It was insane.
Before we get into the predictions, guys, let's set a like target. Let's go big. 1,600 likes on the championship predictions. Make sure to click the thumbs up button. It's free to do. It takes 2 seconds. And if you do, you're showing our channel some great support. We love the championship and we know you guys do too. So drop a like and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, help us start pushing to 70,000 subscribers next. We just hit 60k.
I know, massive.
Massive. Thank you for your great support. Continue it coming. And the final thing to mention is the scores on the doors, where overall I am still in front. I did just beat you before the international break.
Yeah.
There's a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, I think it's a write-off. We go again next season.
I won't rule it out that you could come back, so we do need some good predictions from you. There's a few weeks to go. Let's get into the predictions, Sophie. Let's start at Ashton Gate, where it is Bristol City versus Leicester City, and this is already a massive game, Sophie. Maybe not so much for Bristol City. They're one of those few teams in the middle of the table that we can start to think, are they on the beach?
Yeah, I think so. It's just a pretty similar season for Bristol City, isn't it? Not really fighting for anything. Relegation, no.
No.
Promotion, no. Playoffs, no.
Yeah, I think even if they won all of their games, they might not make the playoffs. And even if they lost all of their games, they'd probably still stay up. Yeah. So they're in that position where there's not a lot to play for. But they could still trip Leicester City up, Sophie. Yeah. Leicester have a lot to play for. They probably needed a bit of an international break, maybe a bit of a reset, because if things had carried on the way they had been, I'd have had Ipswich and Leeds as my top two. But I think this hard reset might be an opportunity for Leicester City to start building back some momentum. And this is it now. It's the homeward stretch. Yes, there's things going on off the pitch with Leicester City, but as long as Leicester City buckle down and just concentrate on the pitch, I think they can get the points required to get over the line. They have got the game in hand. So I think they win this game, but I'm going to say Bristol City might give them a game. Let's say Bristol City 1, Leicester 2.
Yeah, I'm actually going for the same scoreline. I think it could be a fairly close game. As you've said, Bristol City don't have anything really to fight for, but they could cause Leicester some issues here. Leicester really need a win because their form before the international break, they were falling right off it. After such a healthy lead as well.
Yeah.
It's like me and our predictions. Anyway. And I think they need the win more than Bristol City do. Close game, but I agree, 2-1.
2-1. Both go for the Foxes to beat the Robins. Share your thoughts on that one. Let's move on to another game, Sophie. Millwall versus West Bromwich Albion at the Den. Big game this one, Sophie. The Lions versus the Baggies. They've both got a lot to play for. And when I spoke about my sort of final championship table predictions in a video I did a couple of days ago, I do think both of these clubs will complete their current objectives, which for Millwall is to stay up, for West Brom it's to secure the top 6 and probably 5th place.
I think so, yeah.
That said, I think I'm going to go for a draw here, Sophie. Okay. I make West Brom favourites, but they are better at home than they are away. And Millwall, under Neil Harris, have only lost away at Leeds. Other than that, they've been picking up lots of points. So, although I make West Brom slight favourites, I think Millwall could get a decent point here. 1-1.
Okay, yeah, I could see that playing out, but I think I am going to have to lean towards the favourites on this one. And West Brom, as much as you say, yeah, their form is much better at home. To secure, I think they will finish 5th, but to secure that, they need to be getting the wins in these games, and I think they'll just edge it. So 2-1 again. 2-1
Baggies. Yeah. We will see. Share your thoughts on that one, guys. Millwall versus West Brom. Do you think Millwall stay up and West Brom make playoffs?
Yes. Yeah, I think West Brom finish 5th and Millwall stay up because they've looked a lot better, actually. Yeah,
but it can all change over 1 or 2 weeks, so do stick around. We could have 1 or 2 of these teams fighting for something on the final day. On to the next one, Sophie. Let's go to Cardiff City versus Sunderland. 2 teams with potentially not a lot to play for. I make Cardiff's chances of making the playoffs not impossible, but they've got a lot of hard work to do. I'm talking winning almost every week to make the playoffs now. As for Sunderland, I think it's gone. I think this time round they're not making the playoffs. And if anything, they just need to keep an eye on their form because they are sliding down the table dangerously. Not to an extent where I think they get relegated, but they could finish sort of bottom 7 or bottom 8 if they're not careful. The form's not great, and I said in a video the other day, they're kind of on autopilot now, just trying to get through the season. And I think next season they might have a better crack at getting the top 6 again. But for this game, I'm going to go for Cardiff. They've been decent recently, Sophie. They did lose the South Wales derby, but I think they'll get back on track. 2-1 Bluebirds.
Yeah, I think before the international break, I backed Cardiff. They let me down, but we go again. I'm going to back them to win. I'm going to go for the same deficit, but a different scoreline. I'm going to say 1-0 Cardiff. I think it could be a little bit edgy, but for me, Cardiff are the favourites.
Yeah, we're going pretty similar on that one. Cardiff, Sunderland, both going for Cardiff to win by 1 goal. Share your thoughts on that one, guys. Next up, we're going to go to the John Smith, Sophie, where it is Huddersfield Town versus Coventry City. Coventry City's form coming into the international break was very, very good. 3 wins in a row in all competitions, smashing Rotherham, beating Watford away, coming from behind, and beating Wolves away, coming from behind in the last couple of minutes. There's a lot of games to get through here for Coventry City now, with the FA Cup semi-final against Manchester United and the rearranged games at home to Hull City and Ipswich. I think, although we're not far away from the playoffs, we're going to have to be so good to get in there, and we need to win this game. Huddersfield Town, though, Sophie, they have a lot to play for. They're not going to roll over for Coventry.
No.
They are right in the thick of it, and do you know what? With them being at home, I think they can make it difficult, but I am just going to edge Coventry by 1 goal.
Okay.
I'm going to go Huddersfield 1, Coventry 2. I believe Huddersfield Town are going to miss Sorba Thomas. I think he was sent off in the Rotherham game. And yeah, they drew 0-0 with Rotherham last time. It's not a great result, is it?
No.
So I think it could be close. And yes, I've not forgotten that Huddersfield snatched a draw from us in the last minute at the CBS. But we need to take 3 points this time. 2-1 Coventry.
Okay, I'm going to back us to win as well. The only thing that could trip us up is our form usually after international break. We do tend to drop off it, but I'm going to say we don't this time. Huddersfield, I feel, are capable of giving us a decent game. I think they'll be quite defensive-minded because they won't want to lose this one, so I think they'll be fairly happy with a draw. However, I'm going to back us to win 2-0. Yeah, I think a clean sheet would be massive, and I don't think the scoreline's going to suggest it's a really one-sided game, but I think we've got the qualities to get a couple of goals and also keep a clean sheet as well, which would be very important.
Yeah, exactly. I like that prediction. I like it. Share your thoughts if you're a Huddersfield Town or a Coventry fan. On to the next one, Sophie. Let's go to Hull City, who take on Stoke City. Kind of similar here. You've got a playoff chaser versus a team trying to avoid the drop.
Yeah.
And Stoke City, you know, it wasn't great before the international break, losing 3-0 at home to Norwich.
Yeah.
They're a strange team. They can pull out a decent result here and there, but my concern for Stoke has been goal scoring. They don't score a lot of goals. I highlighted in the video I did the other day, their top scorer this season's on 6 goals. The next after that is on 4 goals. So there's not a lot of goals at Stoke City. And they take on this Hull City team who are going to be eager to play some football. They've not played in nearly 3 weeks because they didn't play over the FA Cup weekend because they were due to play Coventry.
Yeah.
And then there's been an international break. I think Hull City are going to win this one, and I think they might sneak into the playoffs, you know. I just think it's going to be so close between Coventry, Norwich and Hull. But Hull City have brought in some good players. They're playing some good stuff. They have drawn quite a few games recently, but I'm going to back them to win this one. 2-0 to the Tigers.
Okay, fairly similar scoreline, but I'm going to go a little bit more convincing because Stoke got beat 3-0 by Norwich. And for me, Norwich and Hull are very, very similar at the moment. So 3-0 again, which would be very, very poor for Stoke on their goal difference. But Hull look good and they need to be putting some goals away, but also, more importantly, getting the 3 points if they want to secure that playoff spot.
Yeah. It feels like in the playoff race now, with West Brom looking more likely to get it, there's one place up for grabs between Coventry, Preston, Norwich and Hull.
Yeah.
They just need to keep winning. It's going to be a high quality race for that 6th place, I reckon. And the next team we're going to talk about are Norwich City, actually. And they take on another team in a relegation battle, Plymouth Argyle. There's lots of these games with playoff chasers versus relegation battled sides. Plymouth, Sophie, it's not looking great, to be honest.
No.
They've been masked in around mid-table for the last few weeks because, you know, they've just got a few more points than the teams below them. But it is so close down there that 2 defeats in the next 2 and they might go shooting into the bottom 3. I am concerned for Plymouth, but at the same time I think they might just do it because there's so many teams down there. It's almost like that old saying, there's strength in numbers.
Yes.
There's more teams that are going to stay up than go down. So I think Plymouth might just fall in the survival category. But I don't think they're going to get anything here, Sophie. Norwich City are looking good, and very much so at home.
Yes.
3-1 to Norwich.
Okay, I'm going to go for another 3-0. Norwich, their attacking threat is what I see giving them a good chance of finishing in the playoffs. They're just looking very, very good going forward. And as you said, very good at home. So I think 3-0, another clean sheet, another great win. Full concentration on that 6th spot for me.
Yeah, there's some more difficult games coming after this one for Norwich, but I do think at home against a Plymouth side not in great form, they should win.
And they're not great away either, are they, Plymouth?
They have improved, but
they've improved on their away form, but not enough, no.
Not enough. Okay, next up, Sophie, is this one going to be quite straightforward to predict? It's Preston North End versus Rotherham United. Rotherham are terrible, aren't they?
Yeah, but they got that 0-0 draw against Huddersfield. I thought they'd get battered.
They did get a draw. We'll give them a little bit of praise. Obviously, I've got sympathy for the Rotherham fans, but we are looking at one of the worst Championship teams ever.
Yeah, at times I've said they just need to show a little bit more fight, because as soon as they seem to concede one, their heads go down and then they just concede a few more. And it's like, no, you concede one, you're still in the game at that point, but they seem happy to go down.
Wow, I think they probably will come back up, because
well, they do that, don't they?
They're always a strong outfit in League One.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the first half of the season, there was a couple of decent performances from Rotherham, but it really has felt like they've lost every week since Christmas, pretty much. And they take on Preston, Sophie. As we say, Preston have got a lot to play for. I still think they're in the playoff race. I'm going to go 3-0 Preston.
Oh, okay, I'm going to say 2-0 Preston. That's not to say that Rotherham are going to give them a good game and stop a lot of goals, but I think Preston might be a little bit wasteful and might even take their foot off the gas at some point. So if they go full out and think, do you know what, for our goal difference, because they need an improvement on their goal difference, to be fair, so they need to really give Rotherham a bit of a beating. But I can see 2 goals and a clean sheet, of course.
Their goal difference is too far behind to catch up now, Sophie. I think.
Well, I don't know, like a little 10-0 might be alright.
Coventry and Norwich have a 20-plus goal difference better than Preston right now. But there you go. We're both going for North End to win that one. On to the next one, Sophie. Big game down at the bottom. Queen's Park Rangers versus Birmingham City. This game is absolutely huge, Sophie. QPR and Birmingham are right in the thick of it, and they both need some points. It's one of them where they could both do with a win, but they both can't afford to lose.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to sit on the fence here. I'm more likely to lean towards QPR.
Yes.
They've been better under Cifuentes than Birmingham have been under, well, they haven't had Mowbray and they've only just brought in Rowett. So it's hard to work out what you're going to actually get with Birmingham here. But I think what Rowett will do is try and keep them in games, and they might be able to nick a draw. They need to nick something. So 1-1.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be 1-1 up until the final few minutes. Then I see QPR nicking it at the death, to be honest. They've looked quite good recently. Birmingham, they haven't, but I feel sorry for the fans and the team, because they've been through it this season. It's been a roller coaster, hasn't it? And they're just hoping to stay up at this point. I think they probably will, but for this game I see QPR winning it.
2-1 QPR. Big game. Share your thoughts if you're a QPR or a Birmingham City fan. Another massive game down at the bottom next, Sophie, as we go to Hillsborough, Sheffield Wednesday versus Swansea next. Now, if you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan and you've watched the channel, I think you'll have noticed over the last couple of months, and even since the start of the season, I've been one of those people that have been saying Sheffield Wednesday are going to get out of this.
You have?
And I think I backed them to win about 4 weeks in a row, and they kept winning. But then they came up against Leeds and Ipswich, where I was a bit more realistic, and I said, I think they'll lose these 2 games, which they did.
Yeah.
But I think they can go back to winning ways now. I think they're good enough to beat the teams in the bottom half and maybe 1 or 2 teams in the top half.
Yeah.
When they come up against the top teams, they're going to be difficult games. But so long as they perform like a mid-table team, that's just going to be enough to get them out now.
Yeah.
So I think Sheffield Wednesday will beat Swansea, who, yes, they did beat Cardiff. Let's give Swansea some credit. But there's been 2 weeks since then now. So it'd have probably been better for Swansea City to play this game when they were on a high. And to be honest, Sheffield Wednesday probably benefited from 2 weeks off, because last time they played, it was 6-0 to Ipswich.
Yeah.
So I think the 2-week break definitely suits Sheffield Wednesday, and I'm backing them 2-1.
Yeah, I think what's fair to say is that you can't really say, oh, Sheffield Wednesday are going down based on the last 2. Because as you said, they're pretty much write-off games. This one is a much more winnable game. However, I actually see it being a draw. I'm going to sit on the fence here. I'm going to say 1-1.
Oh!
Yeah, I'm struggling to separate the 2.
Wednesday going to drop points?
Well, it's a point.
It's still a draw.
It's still a point.
It's still a draw. Share your thoughts if you're a Sheffield Wednesday or a Swansea fan. Sophie's going for a draw. It feels like Swansea maybe haven't got a lot to play for at the moment, I guess. On to the next one, Sophie. Southampton versus Middlesbrough. A long old journey for the Middlesbrough fans going down to this one. Can they get something? Just like with Cardiff City, Middlesbrough are right on the edge of the playoff race and maybe just still got a chance. But they have to pick up the form drastically. And last time, I think it was a 0-0 draw against Blackburn.
Not good enough.
They take on Southampton, who are still in the top 2 race, but have to win all these games in hand to get in there. And I'm just going to go with Southampton. I think Middlesbrough could give this a go, but I'm going to go Southampton 2-1.
Okay, I'm going to say 2-0, which I think a clean sheet would do the team some good, to be honest. Not saying that Middlesbrough aren't good enough to actually be in this game, but I think Southampton, for me, have more to fight for right now because you want to do it automatically with the form that the other teams are in. However, it's not a write-off at the moment. So 2-0 and they're still in it. Okay,
interesting. Share your thoughts if you're a Southampton or a Middlesbrough fan. Big game for both teams. You feel like they both need to win. Yeah. They're both trying to win a lot of games to get to where they want right now. Yeah. On to the next game, Sophie. A big game for both teams. Blackburn Rovers versus Ipswich Town. A team once again in the relegation battle versus a team fighting for top 2 here. Ipswich have to win this, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Whereas Blackburn, obviously a win would be great, but it won't define their season if they lose this. I'm going to go Ipswich. They have to win, and I think this is a favourable game. There's some more difficult games around the corner for Ipswich. Norwich away is going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Blackburn 1, Ipswich Town 3.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to say 3-0 Ipswich, so fairly similar. But other than Smolix, I don't see where the goal's going to come from with Blackburn. It seems to be a bit of a struggle defensively, although certain weeks they look a little bit better. And they're going to be without McFadzean, who since coming in, he's done a job for them and they've looked more solid. So I think he could be a big miss for this one. So for me, 3-0 to the Tractor Boys.
3-0. Yeah. It's heavy, isn't it? It's going to be close for the top 2 race.
It is heavy, but it's half of what they did before the international break, so it doesn't sound too bad.
That's very true. They did win 6-0, didn't they, against Sheffield Wednesday. Speaking of top 2 race then, the final game is at Vicarage Road. Watford versus Leeds United, Sophie. Leeds need to keep winning as well.
Yeah, they do. They need the win.
The thing is, out of the top 3/top 4, it's going to be who's going to crack first, and I think maybe each team is afforded 1 more defeat, but probably not 2 more.
No.
It's going to be really, really high standards now until the end. And we're talking about 98, 97 points to get top 2. Watford, Sophie, they did win before the international break. Watford have got Cleverley as the manager. It kind of feels like they're maybe on autopilot till the end of the season. I'll give them a goal, but Leeds United, I've said all season they're getting top 2. And I'll stand by it. 3-1 Leeds.
Okay, I'm going for the same deficit again. I'm going to say 2-0 Leeds. Leeds can't afford to drop points. Right now, I don't think Watford are really fighting for anything. As you say, I think they're just trying to get to the end of the season and then look towards next season. Leeds right now, full focus on the next few games. Can't afford to drop points, and I don't think they will in this one. 2-0.
There you go. Both back in Leeds United to win by 2 goals. Yeah. Do you think they get top 2?
They're looking good, to be fair, so it's looking likely.
Yeah.
But then you could say that about all 3.
Yeah, Leeds United just look very sort of unstoppable at the moment though, don't they? Well, there you go, guys. That wraps up our championship predictions. Make sure to get your predictions down in the comments. It's free to do and we like looking at your predictions. It's also free to hit the like button and we're going for 1,600 likes, so make sure to do that. And subscribe if you haven't already. It's free to do that. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.